do this blackboard. That there. Say. Downloads. This is 3. Couple things I need to talk to. 3. You can open up both those at once. Yes. Classic music going on. That's the one I want. Yeah. You talked about attempts. Today. Who was that? Right. Oh well, I'll have to cross-reference that. We got 1 minute. Tell me what's going on in the world. Sweet. Nothing's going on in the world. I guess I have to wait till 3. No stereo spot. Love the spotlight. My inner narcissist coming out is what it is. If I said right, said Fred, does anybody know what I'm talking about?
Understood.
Right, said Fred. Think music. We've at that point in life where you all have no idea about it. How about this? This should get like. I'm a model, you know what I mean. I do my little dance on the catwalk. God, you guys have never heard that? Okay, after class today, right, said Fred, you're gonna hear that song like, I've heard that somewhere before. It's horrible. Thank the 80s or early 90s. I think it was early 90s. You've heard it before. You have. Let's see, what else? There is some stuff going on. We will talk about for today. We need to move, we're gonna move into attempts, conspiracies. We're gonna finish up our talk about language. Ooh, I'm on a musical kick. Down there. Yeah, it's picking it up. Excellent. Sometimes if I use that camera over there, it won't pick, it's not high enough resolution to pick up any of this stuff. Sometimes that one won't. You guys finish out that phrase, let's say. I get I get by with a little. Here we go. You get by with a little help from my friends. Right? I get, so those, is that what they're saying in that song? You guys ever heard that song? What is the name of that song? You guys can see this online, so I'm not gonna share the screen. We're gonna say Beatles. I get by lyrics. You guys see that online? Probably not. Let's make that a little bit bigger. There you go. You can see that a little bit online. I get by with a little help from my friends. Get by with a little help from my friends. Okay, which one is it? Why am I bringing that up? Okay. I think I can ask it this way. How many of you know someone who engages in consuming illicit substances? How many of you know somebody? I'm surprised I didn't see every hand go up. That does surprise me. Okay? No. My perception of this campus just shifted. It's like I thought we were supposed to have a good time here. No, that's not how that works. But it's not supposed to work. Anyway. Change one word. What are your perceptions of those people involved? Assume, you can assume it's banned, even if it's not. Okay? We're dealing with two things right here, right? We're dealing with friends. We're with. There we go. Sorry, I didn't see that. Don't know what I asked.
I think you still have to admit, I don't think that, yeah.
It didn't admit them? Why didn't it admit them? I said admit all.
I think you
Oh.
can.
Whatever. I clicked the button. I know that. Why is this stuff got to be so? There it goes. All right. We'll wait for them to connect audio and I'll catch them up. All right. Okay, to catch you all up from why it says I get high with a little help from my friends on the board, we're talking about music. Not really. We're talking about something else that's going to relate to what we've been talking about. Okay. Beatles song. They alternate between I get by, I get high. If I was going to try something like that. Okay. Just that one shift between by, I get by with help from my friends, meaning they're aiding you, to I get high with a little help from my friends. What do you think about that group of people now? Are your perceptions positive, neutral, or negative? Okay, positive, raise your hand. Neutral? 1, 2, 4, 5, 6, 7. Negative. Just one? Wow.
I mean, you can put me for negative, a little bit middle.
Okay. Had scruples and now you're getting rid of them now. Too much social prep now. Okay, now think back to the time this came out. You're talking the 1960s. Yes, we were using drugs as a group of people more, but dominant society would say, what?
Negative.
Oh, hell yeah, right? That's gonna be a very, very big negative thing. Why am I talking about this?
I mean, we listen to it, so it influences us.
It does. Ooh, that's a good point right there. Okay, that is definitely a cultural influence. Because if I just talked about the Beatles and their cultural influence, it's like you could talk a lot about that, right? If I said, If I said, the song, what's the one that's written by John Lennon? Imagine. Imagine all the people. Imagine a world where there's no religion, right? Imagine a world like, yeah, that's a cultural influence. If I said, ooh, ideology and politics. Imagine versus revolution. What the hell does this have to do with criminal law? I'll make it real clear here in a minute. So imagine all the people. So you say you want a revolution? You guys ever look at the lyrics for any of those things? I'm not either. Revolution is probably the only song of theirs I actually like, and probably not for the reasons that you think. Yeah. I don't know if I'll get into it. Maybe I will. Imagine lyrics. John Lennon. Imagine there's no heaven, no hell. Living for today. There's no countries, no religion again. Yeah. No greed or hunger. Sharing all the world. There's some that would argue that that's politics. That's going to be more blue, right? Socialist, right? You're trying to get people to help other people, right? You're trying to make the government obligate to do so, is typically where things go a little bit off rails in terms of function. You can do it, but it's not the greatest. Okay. Revolution lyrics. You say you want a revolution, you want to change the world. Yeah. When you talk about destruction, you can count me out. Okay. Money for people, minds that hate. Okay. You're gonna be all right. You're gonna change the Constitution? What the hell are they talking about? We'd love to change your head. Changing institutions, your mind. That guy right there. But if you go around carrying pictures of Chairman Mao, the hell are they talking about? You guys know who Mao is? A couple of you. Chairman Mao was the head of China, the Great Leap Forward. He's talking about several million deaths, tens of millions of deaths, hundreds, maybe. We don't know. I mean, there's estimates there, but they're off. Why am I talking about that? This. Definitely cultural influence, right? If you look at mainstream society, you can get stuff like that and say, okay, this is where society's at right now. 60s, right? Chairman Mao, it's recent, right? And what were we thinking about that was going to happen in the 60s and 70s? If I said Cuba.
Cuban Missile Crisis.
Yeah, it's like we're literally on the brink of extreme war and complete destruction, right? Definite cultural influence. Definite cultural influence. How it matters here. This relationship right there. To some degree, the connection between you and other people is something that you can be judged by. This isn't news to you, is it? You get judged by the people you hang out with, right? We need to bring the criminal justice system into this process, like officially. I mean, we've got the unofficial stuff where it's like, yeah, you're hanging out with the potheads in high school, and you're not getting into the advanced classes, right? You know, that kind of stuff. You join the football team, you got the right friends. Maybe. Yeah, depending on where you're at, of course, yeah. Do we need to make that official to where we can use the government to police that? Should we? I'll leave that thought there for a second. Things going on in the world right now. Things that are relevant to stuff we've discussed in this class. This one I will share. Where is that at? It's back. So I'll share. This is one. Pretend I have to stop and look. I think, no, I don't have an email up. Let's do that. Let's say, should be the top one there. Get a peek at all the emails I get. There's a lot of them. No, that's not the one. Look too fast. Moving at lightning speed, guys. Here we go. Do. Boom. We'll make that right up here. Last time I asked you if the media was free. Oh, it cut off part. There it goes. White House sends letter urging outlets to ramp up scrutiny. That's a big question. We're not talking about that. That's just a bit of news for what's going on with that. While that's going on, politics aside, basically I'll say about this right here. That's not good signs moving forward, because that whole red versus blue thing, it doesn't matter who wins. Because if any side wins, we all lose. I don't know if I need to type that in. We'll set that one aside. Okay, you and your friends. Basically, what you need to get from that is both sides are now using legal processes against each other. Legal, then criminal, and then, well, society starts to break down. You and your friends. Last time we were talking about this. Aiding and abetting. Right? Kind of made it clear, it's like there's a distinction here. It's like, yeah, this can be expected, but if you know that person's engaging in criminal activities, just this normal relationship might get you here, right? I'm now aware of your criminal activities. I'm still helping you. I'm not turning you in. I know where this evidence is that can be used to hang you for proverbially speaking. You don't do it. There you go. Oh, Brent, don't worry about that. If you guys ever have an instance where it's like, he mentions it's not in here in class, it's like, yeah, prefer you be here in person. If you can't, this is a good backup. It's live for every class in this class. So if you can't make it, you can make it online, go ahead and do so. That kind of thing. Okay. We mentioned this. We've got 2 parties to a crime. Perpetrates a crime by his or her actions. Second degree is incites or abets the commission of crime. I'm not sharing my screen anymore. Let me share that with you all. This one. Share screen. Screen 1. There we go. Parties to a crime. Pretty easy. How do you know if you're a party to a crime? Are you the principal? Person who committed the crime. First degree. Person who perpetrates a crime by his or her own actions. Second degree. Incites, abets the commission of crime, and is present actually or constructively. We've already had discussion about the difference between actual and constructive, right? You don't have to be there. Are you the one who's responsible for it? Are you an accessory? Are you the principal? Not always easy distinctions to make, right? Incites or abets, but is not present actually or constructively. The difference here and this one and this one. Are you there? Do you have to be? No. You don't have to. Under conspiracy. We'll wait, we'll talk about conspiracies then. Okay. So now we've got that line drawn. Now that we've taken that clear line and made it real blurry, because that's what this is. How much overlap is there between all these statutes, right? There's where discretion comes in. There's gonna be considerable overlap. That's why people say prosecutors are one of the most powerful people in any given area. They're the ones that work those gray areas. Your actions can fall under here, maybe, just intersect that with any crime that we have. And then there you go. How long is it before you have people condemned because of this? How do we keep that from happening? Right? Being very clear with how this works, how well you can form arguments, and how well this system works. Do we want a system where you're judged by those you hang out with? No.
Bless you. Bless you.
Who sneezed? You in the back?
Yeah.
What was it? I think it was my intro class. I had two people one who was sick today, one who missed last time because they tested positive for COVID. It's like, yeah, that stuff's going around again. Hopefully it's not anything like that.
It's not.
Good. Allergies?
Yeah.
Okay, good. Come in here and you're sick, I'm gonna be like, what are you doing? No, I'm just kidding. I'm glad you're here. Okay, so principles and accessories. That line can be gray. So now we need to go to, we'll go to attempts next. We already talked about those things. Did I talk about the Wharton rule last time? Wharton rule. Hold that thought. We'll go to it when we get to conspiracies, because that's where it really applies. And so before we get to that, we're going to come back and we're going to go to attempts. Okay. So solicitation is an ask, right? Incitation. I don't think we have any incitation statutes. It's going to be built under other crimes like inciting a riot, that kind of, or aiding and abetting, or principle, that kind of thing. It's like those lines are blurry. When we deal with crimes being committed themselves and their attempts, first thing, anytime you're dealing with an attempt, look at the elements. The mental aspect's always going to be the hardest to prove, right? It's particularly hard with attempts because what level of intent do you need to have to attempt to do something? Needs to be specific. Excludes negligence, recklessness, or something more generalized. It needs to be very specific with a very specific purpose, and you're talking about purposeful, right? I can't attempt to cause a vehicular accident. No. What I'm attempting to do is crash the vehicle, right? It's not an accident. I did that on purpose. Even if I don't. The act says substantial step to indicate that reparation has occurred. Okay, so first thing, the difference between preparation and perpetration. Perpetration is doing it, preparation is getting ready. You guys know that. What does that functionally mean when you're trying to get someone for a school shooting? How do you know when someone's attempted it? Okay. Let's say today we are a room full of legislators. That sounded sad. We're a room full of legislators, right? We have resolved ourselves that by the end of this class period, we're gonna fix, say murder, no, school shooting. We want to stop them before they happen. Okay, when can I happen? If I took a specific incident, what was the one that caught media probably a year back, where the kid stole the gun from his mother? There's so many of them, it's hard to say. There's one about a year or two back where it's like, yeah, red flag laws, all this other stuff in place. It's like, are you gonna stop those types of events from happening? No, red flags only come up if I own a weapon or if I go to purchase one. If I steal one, well, that doesn't go through anywhere, right? So no red flags. Someone legally purchased a gun. You can't stop someone from stealing it beforehand because you can't guard that many people, that many places, that many things. So how are we gonna stop that? Where would we draw that line? There, is it when the person steals the gun to commit it? Is it whenever, they decide to enter the room that has the gun, that it's an attempt? Is it when they load it up and they walk out of the house to shoot them, that it's an attempt? Is it when they walk in the building with the gun? Is it an attempt? Where does that attempt begin? I'm asking you.
We wanted to keep some evidence stuff because of like tangible evidence planning lists, like
Mhm.
manifestos of these kids rather than.
Okay, tangible. Could be lists, plans.
Like lists of people they were with their hit
Mhm. You can thwart them. Mhm.
threats, like a lot of people.
Threats. Threats are a big one, right? There's a bomb threat. Were you all notified about a threat in the last couple of weeks?
Mine, like high school.
Okay. I was curious as to whether that went wide or not. It wasn't specifically at us, but about 2 weeks ago, there was some school that got a bomb threat specifically targeted at them, but in the course of the conversation, that threat was given. A wider threat was issued to all public educational institutions, which would include us because we're higher education, even though it's not typical to think about. So it's like, there was a notice went out about that generalized threat. Is that, well, when you start getting the threats, we've talked about that a little bit already with assault and battery, right? We haven't gotten into it too heavy, but like, yeah, when you start getting there, it's like threat of violence, threat of danger. It's like you're dealing with something else. That itself is criminal. Stealing that gun in that instance is criminal. The person already had it legally and they decided they were going to do something. When will you be able to stop them legally and criminally charge them with an attempt?
Once they fired, or like we brought them together. Allowed.
Yeah, you can at that point. Yeah, you can at that point. Right there, it comes pretty clear. It's like, you got that intent and you got to that point where you're getting right here. You're a razor's edge from it, right? What about when he walked out the door that day with his loaded rifle or handgun or whatever? Can you get him then? It depends, right? It depends. However much evidence you can get to justify it, that's the big part. That'd be like the procedural answer, right? For criminal law, it's like, you need some step that you can actually show that they're trying to put it into action, right? Like walking out that door. Is it that that person has planned to do such a thing and intends to do so? Or is it that they just took their gun with them, they're gonna go to the range for a range day and, that's all they're planning to do that day, right? Is it bad just to have the thought that you wanna go and kill a whole bunch of people? Not good, but it's not something we necessarily do anything about. I mean, how many of us have thought about killing a group of people? Not asking that question for hands. I do appreciate that though. Yeah, I understand. And yes, I resemble that one. Not easy to do, right? The times that we do that, we get to that dangerous area where it's like, are we now policing thought? The fact that you have thoughts. The fact that you have bad thoughts, or is it the fact that you're actually putting those thoughts into action? That's the attempt. You have to have some substantial step, right? You have to be able to show that it's directly related to that. Okay. Ooh, abandonment and impossibility. Here's what we'll talk a little about that. Start with impossibility. That is a great defense to an attempt, right? So ways you can poke holes in being charged with an attempt. This one right here, that's a really big one, the intent, right? Next one, impossibility, legal and factual. Those are two different types. Legal impossibility, whatever you're trying to do is an illegal. Right? If I've not made it illegal, I'm not getting you for an attempt. Right? That's legally, a legal impossibility. That would be like, let's say, example, insider trading. Right? I'm talking with so-and-so, they inform me of some change is gonna take place. I turn around and I use that information for investments. Right? Illegal. There's no statute in place, legal. Your husband and wife, we'll get to that one in a second, related to group crimes. It's like, you're essentially one unit. What you're doing may be illegal. You can't make them testify. Is it still illegal? Questionable, right? That happens. I'm gonna use a social network that's protected, and I'm gonna use that to go through. Factual impossibility. It would literally be impossible for you to do that thing that you're trying to do. Like, okay, I came up with a highly detailed scheme to kill Bob. I've got it all set up to where he gets up in the morning, he goes out to get his morning newspaper. As soon as it picks it up, he steps on that little mat for his feet to go up to get it. It's gonna set off an explosive about 2 feet away, and he's gonna just turn into a red mist. You know, it's like, yeah, he's done. Okay, set all this stuff up. Turns out Bob died the night before from a heart attack in his sleep. Yeah, I mean, I did some things that were criminal. Murder's not one of them, right? Bob's dead. Right? Let's set it up to where it's just set to go off and blow up his whole house. He had died beforehand, and we can find some way to prove that. I didn't kill anybody. I did blow something up. I am gonna get some charges. I'm not getting murdered. Yay, that's good. Right? Abandonment. How do you abandon something that's largely in your head? Right? Because at this point, almost everything's just in your head until you get to right here and you're just taking one substantial step, right? So everything before that's in your head. Everything after that's still in your head. How do you abandon it? I'm gonna rob a bank. Another news, how are you guys doing today? All right, I'm gonna rob a bank. Not here in town. It's a bank that actually shares a building with a couple of other businesses because it's built in like a strip mall. Right? Got a safe in the back. I'm watching up to where I know it's like, okay, hours of operation are pretty easy to figure out when there's people in the building. That's a little bit harder. I'm gonna have to watch that one. Right? Sweet next door opens up. Okay, I got a little bit of spare cash, and I'm wanting to do this right. Rent it out. Or help. Let's just say it's abandoned, right? It's in that period where it's been sold off and the other person's not moved in yet. So I've got a month. Access to this area. I'm sharing a wall. I'll do it over here so the people on camera can see me. I'm sharing a wall. Imagine no door here. A wall with that vault. Right? I am now mere inches, maybe feet, away from millions and millions of dollars. Right? Have I gotten here yet? You think so? Maybe. I mean, I did go and rent the place, or at least I broke in.
If you
Right?
broke it.
Okay, we'll run with that one first. We'll run with this one. We'll run with the broken in first. Okay, so we've got bank. We know that their major vault is in this section here. Right? This business is empty. I'm gonna wait somewhere around, we'll say 2 AM. I'm gonna go in. I'm gonna come over to this wall. What would you guys do to that wall?
Family.
Getting closer.
Schedule.
Getting
Drill.
closer. Huh?
Drill.
There you go. That's what I'm looking for. Drill. I should have said it's oil. Yeah, you drill. Cutting you can do, but you have to be like right there. Like there might be some cutting involved when you get to the steel. Usually it's easier to drill through those types of things, meaning it's not easy at all. Right? That's gonna be a pain. Have you guys ever had to drill through steel? A couple of you? Yeah, it's not fun. Last time I had to do it, I was building rebuilding a motorcycle. I had to drill out the center engine mounts. And so it's bolts like this long. I gotta get just the heads of them on so I can take it apart because the person ground them out. Steel on steel takes forever. Forever. It's noisy, it's a pain in the ass. How long is it gonna take you to drill?
Long time.
Yeah, and it's gonna depend on the quality of drill. If you go, high strength industrial drill, you'll get through it, but it's gonna take you hours, days, right? And that's assuming you know enough about this vault to know what security measures are in place. So let's assume that you do, you're an educated person, you studied that stuff. So you got that worked out, right? Doesn't require any action until you actually start to drill through, right? We'll say, Yeah. Yeah, you can do that too. No problem is with some of those things you have to worry about, like cutting, welding, most of those things, fire. Because you'll get, that arc will go right through and you'll set some of your money on fire. If you got a lot there, you're working a bigger room, doesn't matter. You're working a smaller room, oh, that matters. That kind of thing. Okay. If I leave the house with those tools, my home, I'm gonna drive to this business. We'll say it's approximately a 30-minute drive. When can you get me?
You start the act of drilling through.
If it's breaking in the building, you probably start there, but definitely the active break, the drilling. That drilling starts, yeah, you started that attempt, right? Okay. Got a drill. Okay. It's close, it's probably you, come here. Press this into the wall, you can see a little mark there, right?
Yeah.
Okay. You see that there? Yeah. Okay, you can sit back down, that's just it. Okay, there's now a mark on the wall. Let's say I got my drill out. Boom. Stop. You know what? It's not worth it. I'll leave the building. Am I still on the hook for that? That attempted robbery, burglary? Definitely for the breaking and entering, that's its own thing. The attempted burglary. Yeah. I can prove that person was there, person had the right equipment, person started. How are you gonna show me to any degree that you really abandoned it? You're not just coming back later. It's not easy to abandon these things, right? Even if you do, even if you stop and leave, it's like, you might still out. Okay. Attempts, here's the statute to wrap about it. Attempts to commit crime. Every person who commits any crime, such as attempt, Does not act for any commission such crime that fails, prevented, or intercepted. So you could fail, you could stop, you could have someone else intervene. Those are all reasons why it might stop with an attempt. But it's still an attempt. Here's what you get. Penitentiary for 4 years or more, or imprisonment in a county jail of such an attempt is punishable by imprisonment in the penitentiary county jail case. I've seen 1/2 the longest term of imprisonment. This one's a little bit different, right? Usually what you'll see is there'll be a specific statute for attempted robbery, attempted murder, attempted such and such. So you'll have those two. This is the blanket one that deals with all other crimes, right? You're attempting to do, attempted low-level larceny, right? You're trying to walk out of the store with whatever, right? You got intercepted. It's still an attempt. You try to go out that door. They might not have a specific statute on it. That's why this is worded that way. They do the math for you, okay? Maybe this number, or maybe it's 1/2 of whatever that longest term is, because it's not completed. It's not as bad as doing it. There you go. All right, and I'll talk about anything less than 4 years, imprisoned by a jail sentence of not more than 1 year, so on and so forth. Read that, you get more familiar with it. Conspiracy. Conspiracy is a pain in the ass. How do you know when you have one? I think last time I mentioned this right here, right? The problem with multiple agreements. If I've got Joe, Bob, and John all having separate agreements with me, and maybe Joe goes out and makes an agreement with some other third party to help in committing that conspiratorial crime. Like, I'm not gonna know about it. You ask me any questions about it, I'm not gonna know about it. Am I still responsible for the person I don't know about? Right? We were talking about friends before. Your friends, they can get you hung real quick, right? What about their friends? What was it I said? I think I said it in here. Just at the beginning of the semester. Thanks to social media, all of us are now friends with how many people? You don't have to give me a number, but stop and think about if you're active on social media, how many friends do you have? How many friends do they have? Yes, there's gonna be some overlap. Doesn't have to be much though. It can be very, very little. And within like a couple people, you have social connections to probably around 1 million people easy, right? And that's here in this relatively rural area. You get to bigger cities, it'll be even more. That's why you see social media people popping up out in big cities. Why? Because everybody's connected. Do you want to be held responsible for the actions of someone you don't know? Can you be? Yes, that's what this is, right? The requirement of an act plus an agreement. Kind of backwards. The agreement plus an act. Who commits the act? Right? It's kind of the same territory as attempted. We're not fully going through the entire conspiracy if you get it early, right? Because there'll be things that we want to put into action. If it's a good conspiracy, it'll have some time involved in it. So let's say you're trying to get it early. This is the minimum you need. You need at least one act. Who needs to commit it? Anyone. Anyone. Now you're on the hook for people you don't even know. Okay. The intent aspect of it, it has to be an unlawful objective. Here it mentions not the intent of the conspirators to agree. What it is I agree, it would be very beneficial if you two went and did this conspiratorial thing for you three. I agree to that. I agree that that would be really good for us. Am I involved? Am I a part of creating it? Or it's like, what's the purpose there? Right? If they don't have, it's same thing with legal impossibility. It's basically legal impossibility. If you don't have that unlawful objective, then it's not a conspiracy, right? So let's say I'm in pharmaceutical company X and I'm friends with the top people in said company, and we know the other top 3 companies in the nation. And what we're going to do is we're going to work to make sure that our vaccines don't decrease in price. Yeah, that's illegal. That's price fixing. You can't do that. Okay, what we're gonna do is we're gonna make it an objective to make sure that we can get all of our supplies to the places that need it as efficiently as possible to make sure we don't harm ourselves or anyone else. So we're gonna increase the prices. That's legal, right? Your intent wasn't to accomplish something unlawful. That's just a byproduct. You can play with these things, right? Know where the loopholes are, look to identify. Right? Degrees of conspiracy. I don't know if I want to talk about that. That's what the next slide says. Limitations. Here's what we'll talk about that. Okay. Important rule. If the crime requires 2 people, you have to have at least 3. Right? I think I mentioned that one in class last time when I said prostitution. Me and a prostitute agreeing to go and do something criminal, it's not a conspiracy. Right? Now, if I'm talking like 2 or 3 pimps and that kind of thing, it's like, maybe. Husband and wife, they're one unit. You cannot make anyone who's married testify against the other party. Right? One of the few limitations, that kind of stuff. You have that, you have your lawyers, you have things like that. 2 or more rule. Okay. Corporations rule, we'll deal with that one tonight. 1. Corporations rulers, corporations are one entity. Right? You have multiple employees within the same entity. It's not a conspiracy. Right? 2 or more rule. Has to be at least 2 or more people involved for it to be a conspiracy, except for in this situation. Right? Withdrawal or abandonment, we already talked about that. Here's what you need to do. You need to be doing something that works against the conspiracy, or you need to start communicating with co-conspirators, notify police, those types of things. Pinkerton rule. That's the rule where, let's say, me, Bob, unknown person. Whatever crime that unknown person does, if that's associated with this conspiracy, everyone tied to that conspiracy is now guilty of it. Everyone. That's how that works. InfoWars host Owen Schroyer sentenced to 60 days in jail. This is news yesterday. Yeah. You guys recognize that name? No. It's Alex Jones. If I said that name, some of you will recognize that name. Yeah, crazy big guy, front frogs gate. You know that guy. Again, I've watched a little bit of his stuff. I've seen that clip, and it's like, that's hilarious. Yeah, I'm sure he's got some like psychological issues, but that's a character right there. He'd be fun to hang out with, probably, but you're gonna be dealing with crazy, right? So they started that company, InfoWars or whatever. Supposedly press, like I say supposedly, because there are press credentials, that kind of stuff. I don't know much about that. I say if you're investigating things and reporting it openly for the public, there's no difference to me, right? Definitely biased. All of it is. You should know that by now, is what I just showed at the beginning of class with the, hey, government's saying scrutinize these certain reports. Yeah, that's bias right there. And that's across the board. Okay, here's help create January 6th. Election conspiracy theories call for violence and large internet following the sentence. Okay. Let's see. I want to look at particularly a certain one. After punishment was after this, after denying wrongdoing. Prosecutors called for a request for jail time chilling, saying the court finally started to criminalize dissent in prison based largely on what Mr. Shore said on, during, and after the riot. On, during, and after. I've heard people make arguments. It's like, why does what you say after matter? Do you have free speech? Question, definitely question. Aiding and abetting, incitation, maybe. What are we learning about? Before, during, and after, you're responsible for everything. You're responsible for potentially the people you hang out with and the people associated with them. How easy is it to find someone that you're associated with who's done something criminal? Right? This isn't even the question of, did you do something criminal today? And look, low level thing you did, speeding. It's like, I don't care about that. How many of you know someone? Hell, how many of you are familially connected to someone who's done something fucked up? Like, I am. Like, right? If they can find some type of social reason why you would agree or disagree with whatever political ideas out there in power at the time. If the two of us agree on that and they do something crazy, am I now part of a conspiracy? Maybe, right? The same argument applies to either side of the aisle, whether you're talking this, whether you're talking a year before and St. John's Church in DC, right next to the White House getting set fire. It's like, it's the same thing on either side. What did he say? It was incitation. Let's go back and look at that. That one's kind of interesting. The word was, oh, it's not in this one. That's excellent. I said Owen Schroyer tyrants. There we go. I pulled it up in my in-person class. We'll say, give me news. This one should have it. 2 months behind bars. What did he do that incited? Okay, that's politically biased. Democrats are posing as communists. Yes, there are some communists there, there's some that aren't. But we don't care about that. They're tyrants, they're tyrants. We declare death to tyranny, death to tyrants. Okay. What are you calling for there? Maybe.
Saying death to tyrants. And
Yeah.
you said that these people are tyrants.
Yeah. That's where you get, that's where you get into, it's like, okay, death to tyranny, is that okay? Yes, death to tyrants. That's the stick right there. That's what'll do it. If you're just saying death to tyranny or death to tyrants, I'm not pointing at anyone. You point to a group. That's where you come into a problem, right? That's how dangerous this is. That's how dangerous speech is, right? I say something, I have a specific intent when I say it. You hear it, you may or may not have the same understanding, right? Someone can say and say, yeah, tyrants, we don't like that. Someone say, Democrats are tyrants, we need to stop them, right? So you start saying it's like, yeah, and it's like, yeah, that's not good. You probably need something, right? Is that just with this? I don't know. But what I would expect is this issue will become more and more problematic as you age, because everything you say is recorded. I have the belief that you have the idea that's negative towards a political group. I know you don't like this. Now, if I can make a connection between the two and this action, here's, right? You're putting plans into motion. Maybe you are, maybe you aren't, but that's up for someone else to decide. I'm gonna talk to 12 other people about it. How good of a story can I spin? How much evidence can I get? And how can I make it look any way I want? That's what both sides do. Prosecution and defense. Also this one too, the politics thing. Both sides do that. I don't understand that party thing, but I don't get that, but we do that. And this is the problem that's gonna continue. With that, we'll move into Rico next time. If I said suave, Rico. You guys got that one? You got that one and you did, okay. For after class, we got 2 minutes. I'm gonna play something. YouTube. Yes, I'm gonna do this. YouTube will say, right said Fred. You figured out what that song is yet?
Nope.
You've never heard that song? It's wildly inappropriate.
Meet the team.
You're gonna make me watch 15 seconds of video? Okay, I'll play like the first 5 seconds. You'll hear the opening. You got, I've heard that before. Wait, 10. 8, 5, 4, another fucking commercial. No, that's the video. Steve Ballmer, love's going. Okay, you've heard that song before, right? Yeah, that song. Now you got cultural reference that I have. Welcome to the generation of shit. Yeah. Anyhow, you all online, I will see you later. Bye.